لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأصلي وأسلم على أشرف المرسلين سيد الأنام المبعوث رحمة للأنام سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد، يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء للناس. وقال أيضا: وما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه وما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا. We give thanks to Almighty Allah. We praise Him, we glorify Him, and we bear witness that there is no Lord worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His messenger and apostle. We beseech Allah to continue to shower His blessings upon the soul of Prophet Muhammad, on his household, his companions, and the Muslim Ummah until the day of Qiyamah. Inshallah, today we'll be talking about something that is going on right now that people are discussing. A lot of people are talking about it, and it does have its footing, it does have its roots in Islam. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has spoken about it, as we all know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Ma farratna fil kitab min shay." We have not left anything in this book, the Quran. We have not left any stone unturned. So we have explanations. He also said, "Watafsila kulli shay" at the end of Surah Yusuf. Quran is the explanation of every single thing that we have right now. So what is that thing that is very important that we can discuss today in today's khutbah? It's the topic of al-hijama, cupping. What people do nowadays. If we see many people watching the Olympic Games going on right now, a lot of the American athletes have marks on their backs, and when they were asked, what is this? They said it is cupping. They did cupping. Now, what is cupping? Very literally, before we go into technical terms, cupping is the is the process by which you get bad blood or dark blood away from your body using a small incision. They cut a bit part of your body and they put a cup, apply negative pressure, and then they bring out this blood from the body. Now, we as Muslims, we have responsibilities, but we unfortunately do not take this responsibility to its full use, to its maximum use. That is why someone, when he visited the West, America and other parts, he said, I saw Islam, ra'aytul Islam bidun al-Muslimin. I saw Islam, but I didn't see Muslims. And when I got back to the East, to Saudi Arabia, to places with Islam that we know are Muslim-dominated countries, ra'aytul Muslimin, and I saw Muslims, but I didn't see Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Verily indeed, we have sent in this Quran, مَا هُوَ شِفَاء, what we see as a cure to all illnesses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has discussed this. Unfortunately, we see Muslims, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has prescribed the use of honey, has prescribed the use of habatu sauda, a lot of things, but Zamzam. But it is very saddening that we hardly see a Muslim household or a Muslim home that do not have at least a bottle of Zamzam or a glass of honey, a jar of honey. We don't use it. And it is also as well saddening that people without Islam, they are using what we have as Muslims, and they do not make any reference to us being the originators of this. Brief history about cupping, hijama, is that people used to do it before the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A lot of people used to do it. Even it was seen in history that the Chinese and the ancient pharaohs in Egypt and the Chinese, they used to do this cupping. And when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he came, a lot of things they used to do, they used to drink alcohol, they used to do cupping, they used to do cauterization. Is another part, is another type of giving, looking for cure, which is involves burning a part with fire. He used to do all this. Then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he came, he told Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave command, do not drink alcohol, do not drink, do not do zina, do not do this. But he did not eradicate coughing. In fact, it was given in one of the ahadith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the narrators of this hadith. He said that Salama, one of the wives of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she asked for permission to do cupping. As I've explained, cupping is the process of getting bad blood away from the body. It's a form of cure, seeking cure. And then Salama asked Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Can I do cupping?" Then Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave her the permission. Yes, go ahead, go and do this. Then he even called Abu Taiba, and this Abu Taiba was one that performed cupping on Salama. Now I see people say, "Oh, Abu Taiba is a guy and Salama is a woman. Why? What is the correlation between them?" Well, the correlation between them is that Abu Taiba was the brother to Salama, not blood brother, but they were brothers from suckling. So they have become family in a sort of way. And he was able to perform cupping on Salama, that was the wife of Salama, when she was sick, and she did this. And nowadays, in the Olympics going on right now, a lot of athletes, Michael Phelps, a lot of people, they have that mark on their body. And when they were asked, "Oh, it's just cupping, it's medical use." But because we Muslims, we do not hold on to what we have as Islam, as what Prophet has given to us, we neglect this. We do not use honey, we do not use zamzam, we do not use a lot of things that we have. We have people that put their faith more into ordinary Tylenol and more into a lot of things without going back to the essence, to what Prophet has said. The importance of cupping. From the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he said, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن كان فيه شيء مما تداوون به خير فهو الحجامة. If there is anything that is good in what the ancient Arabs used to do as their own, as for seeking for cure, as a cure in some of the diseases they have, back pain, circulatory diseases. If there is anything good in what they are doing, then that only thing is hijama, is cupping. And we see a lot of people with circulatory diseases right now. We have blood pressure and all this, but we do not know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has narrated and has given us permission to do this process. And also on the hadith of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said when he was doing Isra wal Mi'raj, that I did not pass by any group of malaika, any group of angels. I did not pass by any of them, except all of them tell me that alayka ya Muhammad bil hijama. Or in another narration, they say, Ya Muhammad mur ummatuk bil hijama. On the day of Isra wal Mi'raj, Prophet passed by a lot of malaika, a lot of group of angels. And he said, every time I pass by them, they tell me, "Oh Muhammad." Some of them say, "Oh Muhammad." Then it is compulsory on you that if you are seeking cure, seek cure through cupping, al-hijama. And then in another narration, he said, some of them told me that, in fact, command your people, command your nation with cupping, to do cupping. Now, I'm not advocating that everyone should just go ahead and start withdrawing blood from their backs or from wherever it's paining them. But we have to know it's deep-rooted in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said we have not left any stone unturned. It is our own responsibility as Muslims to go back and go through seeking the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Muhammad has given to us. What they have said. We do not use most of these things, and it is saddening that we do that. because we neglect what Prophet ﷺ has said, because we don't use what they have prescribed for us, we are in this state that we are right now. That is why in most places, in a few weeks ago, I was in a summit where they were discussing the Muslim religion in act of terrorism and all this that's going on right now. Then one man stood up. He was not actually a Muslim, and he said, a lot of things that we are doing these days, in fact, if we have a bank account or we have anything, do you know that it was Muslims that came about writing numbers? How do you even call these numerals? We call them Arabic numerals. We call them this. How many of us, have that pride in ourselves? How many of us believe in ourselves that, as Muslims, we have something special in our hands? We have something that is very big. We have something that is very important in our day-to-day life that we must use as Muslims. How many of us believe in that? But we don't. We have left Islam at one part and we stay in another part. We have stayed in one place where we only know Islam as praying, fasting, and going to Hajj and Umrah. We do not make Islam as big as it is. We have to, in one way or another, go back to what Islam has commanded us, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and we have to hold firm onto this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Then hold steadfast to the rope of Allah, and do not become groups. Do not become a lot of groups. We have this group, we have that group, we have that. Sadly, that is what we have today. We do not hold firm to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we are describing this rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are not only talking about the religion of Islam, the backbone of Islam, praying, fasting, making Hajj and Zakah. No, a lot of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed to us in the Quran. Actually, I mentioned one hadith, ayah that says, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. What Prophet has given you, what he has commanded you to do, and what he has come with, then hold on to it, do it. وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ, and what he has commanded you not to do, then فَانْتَهُوا, do not do it. It's easy. If we take time to learn about our religion, if we take time to glorify our religion the way it was brought, then we will not be in the situation where we are right now, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for us. Also, from another hadith about what we are discussing is from Sa'id bin Jabir radiallahu anhu. He said he got this hadith from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu also, that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ash-shifa, cure, seeking cure, fi thalatha, is in three things." We have three things that you as a Muslim can seek cure from. What are these three things? He said, al-asal, honey. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described honey for us in the Quran. In fact, we have a whole chapter in the Quran, Surah An-Nahl, that is talking about the bee and the honey. And in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ فَاتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ ثُمَّ كُلِي مِنْ كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ يَخْرُجُ مِنْ بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهَا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded the bee, the honey bee, to take in the trees and in the rocks, in the mountains, to take as its house. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also commanded the bee to eat from every fruit, from every grass that we have. And at the end of the day, it processes all these things, remove the toxic waste. Then Allah says, يَخْرُجُ مِنْ بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ. That we have from it, what comes out from this bee, we have a drink. And what is this drink? The honey drink. It's the honey. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use to end this verse? He says, فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. We have, in this honey, we have cure in it. Any disease that we have. Just put your mind into what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I have stomachache, then I will use honey. As is narrated in the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that one man came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, my brother has stomach pain. His stomach is paining him. Then Prophet said, give him honey. He went the first time, gave him honey. Then went second time also. My brother, his stomach is still not healed enough. He's still sick. He still needs cure. Prophet said, give him honey again. He went again, gave him honey. And the third time, he came and said, Prophet, my brother is not well. Then Prophet said, at this point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said the truth, and the stomach of your brother is lying. Meaning, after using honey, there's nothing else he could use. He's been cured. But he didn't want to, maybe they had something they wanted to do and he didn't want to do it at that time. But he has been cured. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him cure from that. And another narration that we have, it says now it is even scientifically proven that for people that have diabetes, they tell them not to eat rice, not to eat sugar, not to eat starchy foods. But honey is made up of two key ingredients. Biology students will know this. Fructose and glucose. So these two keys, if you mix this honey in hot water, it removes all this, and then you don't need to take all these starchy foods. You have cure from this, and the blood sugar level will be reduced. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said this in the Quran. How many of us go back to the Quran? How many of us go back to the Hadith to read most of these things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said? We only care about what someone sat down 20 years ago to plan. That Prophet has given us this more than 1,400 years ago. Continuing the Hadith, he said, Ashifa fi thalatha. Seeking cure is in three things. One, in honey. And two, in al-hijama, in coughing. This is another hadith that comes about in coughing. What people are now doing on the world stage. It's painful that they are doing this on the world stage now. Olympic is the biggest event going on right now. And almost all from America, from Czech Republic, from Slovakia, almost all of them had coughing marks on their back. And when they asked them, they said, they had muscle pain, and that is the best result they can go to. And they are saying this as if it's a new phenomenon, as if it's a new thing that has just came about, and none of them referenced Islam. Because we ourselves as Muslims, we did not reference Islam, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done this. So we have to go back and do this. And the last one, because Prophet said, Ashifa fi thalatha, seeking cure is in three things: honey, coughing, and the last one is al-inkiwa, which is cauterization, using fire to burn. Prophet said, I do not command you to do this, because I do not like the third one, using use of fire. But you can use honey and you can use coughing. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فإنه يعلم المستغفرين. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله أجمعين. We are talking about the hadith, talking about what Prophet has commanded us to do more than 1400 years ago as cure for what we have right now, for any diseases we have, and which is al-hijama, coughing. Now, what are those things that we might say, or that right now, it has been scientifically proven that coughing cures these diseases, as Prophet has said it before? One is the circulatory diseases. You have people that have bad circulation. Blood do not flow through their system because some blood has stayed in one part and they're not able to move around. Then Prophet has commanded people to do coughing. And now, we are now getting it from modern day science that if you have bad circulation, you have blood clot on your body, then coughing cures this disease. We have people to say Allahu Akbar because Prophet has told us this before. Also, treating blood pressure. I mentioned something in the beginning while introducing this topic of coughing. So I talked about negative pressure, because to get this blood out, you need negative pressure. So if you have high blood pressure and you're applying negative pressure to get this blood out, then it reduces this the blood pressure. Now it's scientifically proven that you can use coughing to reduce your blood pressure. And Prophet has told us this 14,000 years ago, we don't care. Sorry, 1400 years ago, we didn't really care about it. And also, if you have people with infection of heart muscles, and we have pains in the body, what they are now using right now, athletic pains. They have muscle pains because they are always on the road, always using their muscles. If they have the pain, then they themselves are saying that they do not see anything more relieving, not steroids, not any injection, except cupping. And they do cupping every day without any reference to that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu or the Muslims have been doing this before. In fact, modern day hospitals, there was no reference that the very first hospital that was built in the Western world was built by Muslims to cure leprosy before. They used to burn leprosy, people with leprosy, they used to burn them. But when Muslims came to the Western world, they built a separate house for them to treat them, and by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they used to get cured from that. And I will end this khutbah by a very small story that happened after the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some of the Sahaba, they traveled to a place, to a town, and when they got into that town, they asked the people to give them food, to give them shelter, to host them. But these people refused. They refused to host them, and they went to the back of the town, outskirts of the town, sat down, made their camp. When they heard that the king of that town that refused to host them, when they heard that this king was bitten by a scorpion, he had a scorpion bite, and he was in deep pain that he couldn't stand. So they tried every single person in town that knew about cure, that knew about curing things. They called them, but they couldn't. This king was still in pain. Then one of them came to the Muslim group and said, our king has this. And now we see the beauty of Islam in two things right now. People that refuse to give you food, that refuse to give you shelter, and you have a cure with you. And they said they have a disease and you have the cure. Because they refuse to give you food and shelter, will you refuse to give them that cure? You have a responsibility. And the Muslims went back into that town and went to the king. And one of them, the leader of that group, went to the king and silently recited the simplest surah in the Quran. What we read every day, almost 17 times a day, if not more, if you attend more, if you do more nawafil. And that is the first chapter of the Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha. He read that simple 7 verses onto the leg of this king,